Well, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, December the 5th, and it is my prayer that your day is off to an amazing start. Of course, I'm your girl, Robin, and I am excited to be back with another episode of Let's Talk Church. Let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Excuse me. I am excited. We have had a great week. This is about my third time going live. I've got some stuff coming up. I even went live last night to talk to my entrepreneurs, those that want accountability. I talked to them last night so that, sorry about that, y'all. Hold on one second. I messed up. All right. I talked to them last night about accountability and an event that I'm going to have that is going to help with that. So make sure you check that out if you are interested. But today we are following up our conversation. In fact, yesterday we talked about evaluating and refreshing church systems. For those of you that this is your first time hanging out with me, I am a church consultant and I'm so extremely blessed to get to work with churches doing what I love, teaching how to operate effectively, operate with efficiency, and to operate in excellence. So as we continue to plow our way to wrapping up 2024, I've been talking about things that we should do at the end of the year so that we make sure we kick off 2025 with a bang. So again, yesterday I talked about refreshing our church systems, reevaluating our visitor follow-up system, our hospitality teams, our websites, our social media accounts. They all need to be reviewed. But today I'm taking it up a notch higher. If you are ready to go higher, type yes in the comments. We are going to take this conversation to the next level. Let me know that you're watching YouTube. I want to see you in the comments just saying yes. There we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see you guys on Instagram and then, of course, on Facebook. Well, here we go. It's really important that we understand, just like it's important that we take care of our bodies, right? We go to the doctor every year, or at least we should, right? We go to the doctor every year for a checkup. And in this case, I'm using the terminology health audit, right? It's the same thing with our churches. We need to do a health audit to see how healthy our churches are. It's important that, just like with our bodies, if something is showing a sign that it's becoming weaker, or it is doing something it should not do, it wasn't designed to do, right? You may need a prescription. In our bodies, it might be medication. It might be that we need to exercise. It might be that we need to drink more water. It might be that we need to walk, right? Well, in church, it might be that you need to switch up the way that you're doing some things. You're going to have a new prescription as to how you do what you do. So I want to begin by suggesting, make sure you know that you've got something to take notes with when I come on, because I'm going to give you something that you can use and implement in your ministry right away. So here are the 5 key areas that I suggest that you perform this church health audit. Number 1 is worship. That's right. It is important that you assess the spiritual vitality of your worship experience. That means the worship service itself. That means the music, right? Your ministry of worship and art. Discipleship. We know that in what is it, Matthew? Oh Lord, now I'm drawing a blank. But the Great Commission, right? We are commanded to go out and make disciples. 28:19, I think it is. Look, help me, Holy Spirit, right? But we are the Great Commission. It admonishes us to go out and make disciples. It doesn't tell us to go make members, which that's what we do, but we need to make disciples. So what is our discipleship plan, and is it working? I'll talk more about that in just a minute. Our outreach and evangelism. Our outreach. Who are we reaching out to demonstrate, the love of Christ, to demonstrate his existence, to be his representative here on the earth. And then, of course, evangelism. Who are we going out and telling the good news, the gospel to? How's our fellowship? Are we family? Are we connecting like family? It is so important that we make sure that, excuse me, that we are not just in this, coming together and not demonstrating that we are family. And then, of course, stewardship. Are we being good stewards over what God has given us? Our finances, our time, and of course, other resources of the ministry, our building, our facilities, our food banks, whatever it is that we steward, are we being good stewards? Our vehicles, our church vans, our, Sunday school, our children's church, or our academy, if you have one for youth. All right. So those are kind of the 5 areas that I suggest that you perform a church health audit. So let's break this down. Assessing the spiritual vitality. How do you do that in your ministry? By member engagement and spiritual growth. How connected are your members? Are they engaging? Are they coming to events? Are they commenting if they're virtual, if they're watching virtually? Are you seeing spiritual growth? Are you able to put other people up to speak and teach? Prayer and worship culture. Do people come for intercessory prayer? Have you demonstrated the importance of such? Have you included it as a part of your worship experience? Don't let your leaders get away with coming in after intercessory prayer. I know a lot of churches do intercessory prayer before church. Whether you do it before church or as a part of the, actual worship hour, it is important that your leaders understand that part of your culture is prayer. And then, of course, your worship culture. Worship just isn't about singing. Are people, able to express that they pray, that they have their own prayer life? What are they reading? How are they feeding their souls? How are they showing worship just as an individual Monday through Saturday? Even, on Sundays, what are you seeing in service? Are you seeing growth from your leaders and congregants? And then let's talk about evaluating your leadership effectiveness. Your roles. I'm going to step on some toes. I'm going to have to pull out the wand. Your roles, your structure, and your leadership training. The roles. Have you made it clear? Here we go. Have you made it clear what you expect your leaders to do? What are they supposed to perform in their respective roles? Is it written? If it's not written, it's not real. All right. We cannot assume that the head usher understands that they're also supposed to schedule developmental time, that they're supposed to schedule prayer time, that they're supposed to schedule activities outside the 4 walls of church, that they're even supposed to schedule, fellowship moments, right? It is important that you have clarified the roles that they are supposed to have. And then the structure. How does it work? Again, we're not title driven, right? Just because you have a certain title doesn't mean you're the lead of the ministry. If you serve as, let's just say, a member of the usher team and you're ordained, that doesn't mean that you're the head usher, right? That's not what that means. So it's important that you explain that and you make it clear. And then, of course, leadership training, it goes without question. That's kind of one of my things. I think that every time you have a ministry meeting, that you should devote 10 to 15 minutes of it to development. My desk is filled with books. I've got my own book here that I wrote. It's important that you pull something out and give all of those participants that are under your leadership some sort of moment of developmental training. All right. I see you guys. Thank you for your comments. Hey, my favorite supervisor is on. So glad to see you on. I see you, Kim, as well. Good stuff. I see you, Sean. Where are my YouTube and my Facebook folks? I want to, of course, shout you out as well. But let's keep going. Even succession planning. As a ministry leader, you are a great leader if you're able. One of the ways is to tell if you're a great leader is that you're able to duplicate yourself. All right. You are able to duplicate yourself. Succession planning. A lot of us just think in ministry that succession planning is about the pastor. No, it's actually about leadership. I just don't believe, I've not read it, that there's a reward in heaven for saying that you were the head usher for 40 years. The whole time while you were, active in ministry. I challenge you, did you stunt the growth of that particular ministry? Because you probably could have been a better asset after 4 or 5 years in another area and allowed somebody with new, fresh ideas to come and serve in the ushers as the lead. All right. So just think about that. Succession planning. What are you doing to duplicate yourself? All right. Let's keep going. Hospitality and first impressions. This is near and dear to my heart, but assess, do you have a welcoming culture? Is it accessible? Right? And is it inclusive? You don't want that. And I apologize, they're cutting grass outside or doing something, so you'll hear that for just a second. But you don't want that all of your leaders are from your clique. All of your leaders come from the same family, right? You want to make sure that people that we've discipled and that have come into the ministry, that we give them an opportunity to serve and to lead. The next one, ministry and program alignment. Are you a mission-focused ministry? Ask yourself that. Ask your leaders that. Do a survey. Are you focused on the mission of the ministry? Part of the mission of my agency is to teach ministry excellence. I am not on here doing dress halls, right? The mission, the reason why I exist, right? My business exists is so that I work with churches and ministries and I teach them strategies to operate more effectively, efficiently, and in excellence. So same thing with your church. You should know the mission of your church so that you make sure you are a mission-focused ministry, even vision focused, whatever the vision that was cast for 2024, or what is this year? Yeah, 2024. Did you honor it? Did the ministries that were in operation, did they honor it? I know it's so easy just to repeat, recycle, but we want to stretch people to grow. And so as the vision is enhanced and updated, so should those ministries. What was your impact? How do you measure your impact? Is it based on attendance? Is it based on registration? Is it based on the frequency that people ask for those type of events to happen or those services to take place? Whatever your measuring tool is, you need one. All right? Type that for me. You need one. Yes, you need a way to measure the success and the vitality of what it is you're doing in your community. I want you to go out and seek grants, seek sponsors, seek opportunities where you can get feedback so that you know that you are relevant and you are making, you're hitting the mark. Oh my goodness, this one is a tough one, but it's tight, but it's right. What is your financial health and stewardship? Your budget priorities. If you're spending, I think it's what, 35% or more on salaries, yikes. You want to check that. You want to check that. You should not be spending 70% of your budget on salaries. You don't have any money to do the work of the kingdom. Also, you don't want to be, building rich all your money just goes to pay for the building, the facility that you rent, or the building that you pay, the mortgage, right? You want to make sure that you can afford it and you can still manage your budget to do other things. All right. And then, how transparent and accountable are you about the budget? Yeah, I want you to assess that. Do you share your budget numbers with your trustees, with your board of directors, with your board of advisors, even with the church? Do you share, this is how much money comes in, this is how much goes out? I know, it's kind of taboo to talk about money, but the church is a nonprofit entity that funds itself, typically, you know? And if it doesn't fund itself, then you're getting grants, or you're getting scholarships, you're getting corporate partners that are giving into projects that you're doing. And are you sharing those numbers? And are you holding yourself accountable to the budget? All right, to your budget priorities. I love it when I work with churches and they'll say 20% of our budget goes to missions, 20% goes to community sponsor partnerships, right? 20% goes to our youth, 20% goes to young adults, whatever that amount is. But it's important to have a budget, and then do you share it so that your leadership knows? That's why there are a lot of parking lot meetings, because people don't have answers. And so they are trying to figure it out on their own. And so they're out in the parking lot having those conversations as to, what is going on? Why are we doing this way? Why aren't we doing this that way? Well, it's because you've not shared the information. Let's talk about my next point: communication, and even the effectiveness of your communication. I know a lot of churches say, oh, well, we don't want to communicate via email or text because people get tired of it. If you're sharing information that is important, they won't mind getting emails. And you should have a schedule. Send out the weekly email every, Wednesday at 3:00. People then become used to looking for that email on Wednesdays at 3:00. Then you send another email on Saturdays that's sharing an invite to worship the next day, and maybe even what the sermon title or graphic is going to be. I know that, texting, of course, is very, very popular. I think I read a stat that said 98% of people read their text messages. I know with me, every time a text comes in, I look at it. So you just want to make sure that you're being a good steward. That's because that is a financial concern, right? But you're being a good steward over how you're using your texting service, because there's a cost that goes along with that. And then your community engagement and outreach. Again, have you partnered with some community organizations, even from a mission standpoint? If missions, international missions, isn't your area of expertise, but you want to go to Africa, well, then you partner with an organization that already goes to Africa, or you sow into that organization, or you send someone from your ministry as a representative to go with that organization to Africa. All right. So there's more than one way to do this, but you want to make sure that you're honoring what it is you say that you are about. And then, of course, your facilities. Listen, y'all, are y'all keeping them clean? There are three things that they say that visitors look for when they come to a church, and cleanliness is one of them. Hospitality, of course, is the other one. And then the third one is connection with the word, connection with the people, even just connection. Is your building clean? Is it dusty? Those plants that are up on the pulpit, when was the last time they were dusted? When was the last time you put a little shine on them, right? So that they look good. Have you walked through the pulpit? Do you have, water bottles from the musicians? No, all of that stuff needs to be cleaned out every single week. What is your paint schedule? What is your striping schedule for the parking lot? If you have multiple services, do you have someone assigned to the restroom throughout the service times? You definitely on Saturday, you want to make sure the restrooms are clean and well stocked for Sunday. But then on Sunday, do you have somebody that goes in and checks? Do you have someone that goes in after the first service and refreshes for the second, or that refreshes before, or when service is over? That's important. Your facilities, the windows, the blinds. If the blinds in the children's area are cracked or they've broken off, you need to get new blinds. That's all of a part of being excellent. All right. And then data-driven decision making. This is key. Data-driven decision making. We have to be careful to not make decisions based off of our feelings, based off of being emotional, and based off of our click, right? You want to use data to support. Type the word data. You want to use data to support the decisions that you are making. People will tell you how they feel with their feet, meaning they will come or they will go. With their wallets, they will give or they won't, right? Or they'll start gossiping and they'll start talking about it, whether it's online or they'll tell people that can tell you. But people have to be able to trust that they can tell you these things and you're not going to make it personal. You're not going to say, oh, that's just people that don't like the way we do things. No, have surveys in place so that people can communicate how they feel. All right. So data-driven decision making. How many of you all in your churches do they offer surveys for you to give your input? Put a number 1 in the comments if you are used to seeing surveys offered at your church for your ministry to collect data. Yeah, it's important that you have data. Yes. It's funny. I think that one of the only times churches really focus on data is when they're trying to buy a building, because the bank requires data. And so they do all this work to get all this data together, right? But you should be collecting data all throughout the year. And then an audit. How many of you audit your financials? Audit the way you do service. If you've been conducting service the same way for multiple years, I would challenge you to audit, is it effective? To audit, does it allow the presence of the Holy Spirit? If you're one of those that everything must go boom, 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 I would challenge you to see the end audit, is that effective? Once you've done all of this, you've done all these different assessments, you have truly collected some data. And so now you want to look at reviewing the data. Who are you going to share it with? Who is going to study it? What kind of plan are we going to put in place to either implement it or respond to it? That's the other key thing. Thank you, Holy Spirit. It is important that as you find out things that you share updates. All right. You want to make sure that your congregation understands that this is, the church is a living organ. And so it's continuously being evaluated and updated and just reviewed so that it can grow to be the best version that it can be, for the day and time that we are in. So think about that. So as we, again, approach the year, the end of the year, it's December 5th. I am hoping that you've got a plan in place so that you can do an audit that will help you as you plan for 2025. And your audit just shouldn't, if you're a smaller ministry, you might just invite 5 people to a table, feed them lunch, and have the conversation and go through each of these areas just so that you can hear from those constituents, kind of what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and even what they've heard. Again, we're not taking any of this personal, right? We just ask that they present it in a professional manner, all right? And that they too, don't present it from an emotional standpoint. I've been wanting to tell you this. I don't like the way you do this. No, that's not what we want. So, you have to establish boundaries, and that's fair. You establish boundaries. Here's the criteria of what we're discussing. Here's how you can, share the information, whether it's a survey form or whether, you use some sort of app, and, even Google Forms, and you allow them to complete that information so that you can get answers, as I said, and start collecting data. All right. Well, I hope that this helped you on today. I, again, was so excited to come and share another episode of Let's Talk Church. Make sure that you are following this channel. Make sure you've subscribed. Make sure you get alerts if you're watching me on YouTube. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I shared next Thursday, I'm going to be doing a Vision to Victory 2025 goal planning session. It's absolutely free. Go to robinmware.com/webinar and you can register. I'm also going to be sharing at that event my live hybrid event for January called Schedule Your Wealth. If you're like me, you want multiple income streams flowing, and you want them flowing all the time so that you're able to schedule your wealth so that you're always aware that money's going to be coming in. So I'm going to be talking about that next Thursday, how you can be a part of that hybrid event as well. So you don't want to miss it. Again, go to robinmware.com. There's also a link in the bio that you can click to register for it. I'm actually going to be offering it 2 times next Thursday, 12 noon, and then 7:30 at night. So hopefully you're able to attend either one of those times. I'm going to be sharing the same content both times, but you're welcome to be on both times if you'd like to. All right. Thank you, guys. Have an amazing rest of the day, and I will see you tomorrow.